All right, so let's talk about the biggest gripe that I got in Endgame. The thing is with Endgame, I appreciate a lot of the things they did. They balanced a lot of characters, a lot of storylines, a lot of subplots and whatnot. But there was a few big gripes. And the biggest one to me is the disrespect they have with time. And that's what I was warning about in the Endgame preview is I'm worried about time. It's a very wishy-washy subject, and I thought they were going to pull it off. I really did think they were going to pull it off because the movie said, just accept this line. It said to you, Hulk said it in Doctor Strange's way, said...
Hulk says that when you go to your past becomes your future. And your current present becomes your past. You can't change your future and your past. I'm not explaining it without literally...
No, but really all that means is disregard every preconceived notion you had about time travel where you go back in the past and affects your present and your future. It creates alternate timelines in a sense. And I was fine with that at first, because I'm letting the storytellers tell me on this story. And that was the Endgame's version of Doctor Strange It's the Only Way. That was Hulk saying to the audience, look, this is the way we're going to time travel, so don't get too griped up about... okay, well, how does it affect this now if we go back and change things in the past? Just deal with it. And I'm down with that. But then the arrogance came out when they broke their own rule at the end. Let's talk about...
What Hulk is pretty much saying is, let's just say I go back in time, right? Time travel. I go back in time. I see myself. I chop my past leg off. What every other movie would say is automatically my current self, I would lose my leg because my past leg just got chopped off.
Right.
And it affects my future. What he's saying is that's not how it works. Whatever you just did to yourself is your future now. Whatever's in the past is still in the past, and that's what he's saying. Like, it doesn't just because you change your past does not affect your future. My leg still stays on, just past Amanda, her leg is chopped off.
In a new alternate timeline.
New alternate timeline. That's what Hulk's explanation is.
Which is totally different than we ever thought about time travel and whatnot, which I was fine to accept in this movie because those are the rules they laid out. The disrespect was at the end... when Cap goes back in time, and yet he's there on the bench, and it's Old Man Captain, because he didn't come back. Going by the rules of the movie and the Hulk laid out, he shouldn't have been there at all, because he's now in an alternate timeline. So I can withstand, a movie setting its own rules. I can withstand that and just go along with what they want to do, with their framework they want to do. Big example, Infinity War, Doctor Strange is the Only Way, which puts out every other hypothetical how to get the Infinity Stones off. But in this one, they set the established rules, and they broke them. They broke them hard, and I was pissed when Old Man Cap showed up, and I was like, they just spit in our face. I mean, I don't know if you guys thought the same thing, but...
I was not irritated about in that moment I wasn't irritated about the time. I was irritated about the fact that he stayed. He didn't follow through on his mission. Because what that is saying is that he lived through shit that went down back then, and he didn't do anything about it.
Because, and that's just a total disrespect to the character. Because that's not Captain America.
Exactly.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not Captain America whatsoever. And I'm actually surprised that they went this route. Marvel being Marvel and having the truest testament to characters, with their comic book representations. And I'm actually surprised that they had Captain America say, nah, I'm just going to hang up the shield for this girl. And I got it. He's lived a long, hard life. He's been through, world wars. He's been through war. He's been through combat. He's been through all these conflicts. But at the end of the day, that's who he is, and that's who he's made for. That's in every fiber of his being. He's not going to quit over the love of one girl who he knows is not in alignment with the greater good and the greater cause.
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, we could argue that maybe he did fight. Maybe that's to come different movies. Because at the time that he goes back, old Cap is in the water right now. Right?
Okay, but you're talking about potential. We haven't seen.
What the reality is we didn't actually see him not fight.
Okay, well, you're giving a huge benefit of the doubt now. I mean, I'm in agreement that it was, I think, a terrible way to end Captain America. Everybody's in love with this idea. He gets the girl. He's doing his dance. But that goes against what Daniel said, against the character. He is the Superman of the Avengers. He is the Jedi of the group. Imagine 6 Superman movies, and at the end of the 6th one, Superman says, I retire. That's bull. I mean, he doesn't retire, okay? That's the point.
That's what he says in the
best of them all.
In an earlier movie, right? That he can never miss a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Civil War, he says, "Look, I'm just not built that way. If I see a fight, I'm gonna have to jump in." Paraphrasing, but that's essentially the point. And to say that at the end, he gets to be selfish in a way and have his own dream.
It's sad.
I get it.
Cap's never been able to put his own wants and needs before others, but that is the character that you all have created. And
it's not just you all; it's the comic books.
As in you all, as in Marvel.
Yeah,
that's the character that you have provided us for all these years, saying Cap will never miss a fight. Cap was always going to do the right thing and go to war, go to battle, go to whatever for people, and he'll put aside his own wants and needs.
Yeah,
and you're ending that story by saying he decides to retire.
Yeah, and
I get it. This is supposed to be the culmination to this 11-year universe that's been set in stone by Marvel, and I get it. They want to spoon feed the audience all these happy endings. Everyone besides Tony, which we'll get into soon. Hey, these guys are doing good. These guys are doing good. It's such a happy ending. But at the end of the day, it should be done in a manner with true respect to their comic book origins and the character that has been laid out in that 11-year universe. You can't just do a complete 180 just because all of a sudden Cap has a revelation. You know what? I love this chick. I've always loved her. I'm just going to decide to be with her.
Yeah, it's okay that he loves her.
Yeah,
but he shouldn't get her. Look at Anakin in Star Wars. He loved Padme, but he went to the fucking dark side because of love. Why? Because the theme is that the Jedi's above love, and he should have stuck to duty and order, and that would have set him straight. But he was a little selfish and did his love thing, and he went to the dark. I'm not saying that love is dark, but the point is you're supposed to be better than that. Cap was the Superman of the group. He's better than everyone. He's the one taking the bullet. He's the leader of them all. He's the example to be set. And I just think it's a disrespect to the character, the way they did it, just to give him the happy ending. I know in the comic books there is an old man Cap. I'm not fully familiar with the comic books, but I don't think it was a time thing. It wasn't that he goes back in time to live a full life. I think it was just he got old.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know.
Which is a different story, But.
I don't. It's at the end of the day, they really don't. He does say the line. I took Tony's advice and I went and got myself a life. Right. I went and did the whole life thing. But that doesn't mean that he didn't necessarily pull himself out of the fight. I think it's just a setup for other Captain America movies. To be honest.
I don't think so.
No, disagree.
I don't think so at all.
I don't know. Well, at least let me hope, because then if not, to your point, they just did the character dirty. And another thing that I can't stand is that Cap should have been the one to take the final blow and lose his life and be the one to die. Tony Stark, he sacrificed himself in New York. He gave himself everything in Infinity War. There's another movie in the first Avengers, Age of Ultron. He does something with he's the one that takes a blow of some sort. Am I right on that one? I don't know. But he's been sacrificing himself for 10 years now, it feels like, Tony Stark. He makes a deal with Captain America. Tony Stark and Captain America make a deal when they say, okay, listen, bring back people we lost. I hope we can do that. That'd be so awesome. Cool. But save everything I have now. It's an absolute whatever it takes. We have to do it. And Captain America literally says, okay, that's a deal. Because when Tony got back the first time, he was pissed at Cap and said, you said we would win together and we would lose together, and you weren't there. That was the deal, and you weren't there. And he's pissed. The way the movie should have ended, which would have been way better, is Cap taking the loss and doing that for Tony. Because Tony now has a daughter, he's got a life, and he's going to make up to what happened in Infinity War, and he's going to take the blow.
Why? Because Captain America, in every fiber of his being, will do whatever it takes to do the greater good. And Tony Stark, obviously, we've been built up with the characterization from the first third. He finally has, a daughter, the new life that he's accepting, moving beyond past the armor suit of being Iron Man. And I agree, it would have been a way better ending with respect to them being a true representation of their comic book characters and within the 11-year universe. And to me, it just seemed like, oh, Marvel, I'm the writers in the room. Who are we going to kill off? Let's kill off the guy that will hit the audience the most. Because at the end of the day, Captain is Captain America. Yes, he's the leader of the Avengers. But when we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Tony Stark and Robert Downey Jr. is the face of this universe. He is 100%. So
instead of respecting the characters,
yep, they said we're just gonna hit the audience hard, and we want this for the audience to feel it, not with true representation of the characters. Mm-hmm. So we're killing off Tony and Cap. You're getting what you want. You're getting the love of your life back in your life, and you're hanging up the shield.
Yeah.
Total disrespect to the characters.
And they did perfect setup. I mean, it was foreshadowing.
Yeah.
It could have been perfect setup. I'm complaining at you that you didn't keep your deal. Then we make a deal to say, no matter what, whatever it takes. And then again, right before they all use the pin particle and they get on the machine, they all say, okay, we have one shot. Cap gives his speech and he looks at Tony and says, whatever it takes. Perfect. That's how you set it up. The end of the movie should have been Cap taking it for Tony and losing his life.
And for once, usually I'm the outsider. You two are in agreement and I'm in disagreement, but I do agree with both you. It is a total disrespect to the character in the end. I mean, I'm the guy that actually liked Luke dying at Last Jedi. I know it was a big thing. Okay, well, how could they kill him? And he didn't do anything, and every fanboy of Star Wars hated it. And I actually liked Last Jedi as a fan. This one struck me hard when they did Cap wrong. They did him wrong. I don't like the ending. You guys in agreement. He went out. Yeah, I guess they were thinking it was the obvious way out. Cap to go out, being the leader, and, you know, Tony with the family should have stayed.
It's not the obvious way. Tony's done nothing but sacrifice himself leading up to now. Everything he's done, Tony does it. He constantly asks him, stop going, and he always does. He sacrifices him in New York. I mean, always. So it's actually not... It's not the expected. The expected is, oh, here goes Tony again, doing, because he's the father of the group, pretty much.
Yeah.
Doing what he's expected to do.
Yeah. I see what you're saying, but you know, a lot of the theories involve Cap dying, and that was a surprise. I thought he was going to, but just because it's a surprise that he doesn't die doesn't mean it's the right decision for the character. And that's what I guess we're hitting on, is that just because it hits the audience harder doesn't mean that you did them right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What would have been cool though if they stuck with that is that at the end, alternate ending is Cap goes. It's like, okay, return all the stones, Cap leaves, and then 5 seconds later, young Tony, like young Tony Stark comes back, freaking out, like, guys, something went wrong, like, it went wrong, and then that's the end of the movie, and we get to see young Tony and figure out what happened next with Captain America. I would have loved it. I think the audience would have gone nuts. I think it would have been cool to see that something clearly went wrong in the past, and Tony's back.
It's a setup for a new movie that's not scheduled or gonna happen.
Would have been awesome.
I know. I'm just saying.
Just like the ending of Super Mario Brothers. Cue Super Mario Brothers footage. Would have been awesome. But at the end of the day, I also think that cutting off Thanos' fucking arm in Infinity War would have been awesome. But hey, that's just me. So let's talk about some more.
I definitely want to talk about something that has been bothering me since I've seen it twice now. So going into the machine, Hawkeye or Ronin, whatever, is that his Ronin? Okay, Hawkeye and Ronin is holding Rocket's ship because they shrunk it so that he could hold on to it, go in time, and take it to Morag, and then they would split and they would go to Vormir. So Rocket says, better take care of that, better watch over that. Okay, cool, right? Fast forward, Thanos, now, first gripe, there was only one GPS, time GPS. Bad Nebula takes the GPS, shows her father, Thanos, and says, oh, look what I have. How do I look? I'm going to be different, right? Goes back. She comes back. So that's the one GPS. So, one, how does Thanos get through the portal? I understand that Bad Nebula, uses her hand, she locks into the quantum machine, whatever. But how did he GPS? He should have turned into a baby or old man Thanos, because that was the whole problem that Tony arises, the EPR paradox, right? You need a time GPS.
Yeah.
Nebula has it. Okay, that's one. Two, how in the fuck did he bring his entire army to the world without their pin particles, and then two, without a shrink machine to shrink his ship? So either Nebula comes there with one pin particle and one GPS. How in the world do they split those two so that Thanos and his entire army can use it? And another gripe is that Ant-Man, the whole premise of Ant-Man and his suit is that he needs his suit to shrink and get big and shrink and get big and shrink and get big. They can shrink objects, no problem, but for a human to not mess with your molecular, like the whole explanation they do in Ant-Man, they have to have the suit. So you're telling me Thanos, one, is traveling in his ship. Two, all of his entire army doesn't need to have a suit or anything. Like, that's why the Avengers had an entire suit. And he even comments, oh, that's a good-looking time travel suit. Thanos doesn't need a suit. Thanos doesn't need an extra pin particle. Thanos doesn't need a GPS.
No.
How did they get here?
It just happened.
It just does.
It just
I mean,
does.
that's the biggest gripe. How are they here?
Yeah,
I agree.
How'd they make it?
It is a gripe. It is a plot hole, and there's plenty of them.
It's just
That doesn't kill it for
another
me, but-
fucking spoon feed of here. Drink the fucking Kool-Aid.
Hey guys, leading up to this moment, we've told you that you need a pin particle, you need a GPS, and you need a time travel suit.
And they only had pin particles for one trip there and one trip back. But Bad Nebula comes back, and then so where was Thanos? I mean, no, she gave it to Thanos, so Bad Nebula shouldn't have come back.
One of them shouldn't have made it.
Right.
But that's what pisses me off, is that they're spoon feeding us, but we're only eating what you're giving us, and you've literally stated these three things: you need GPS, time suit, and a pin particle. Thanos has none of those, and he brings his entire army.
Sip the
and
Kool-Aid.
ships.
Sip the mother
Army and
Kool-Aid.
ships.
But it's
And it
set
comes
up
through.
for a top 5 battle scene. So
Yeah, I will say that.
I don't know, but
Not
before we
battle
get
scene,
into
entrance. Battle entrance.
Some more Kool-Aid.
Maybe number 1 entrance.
some more Kool-Aid before we get into the battle scene is fucking Thor spent 2 acts of Infinity War traveling to the distant planet where, you know, Tyrion Lannister, whatever his dwarf name is, I forget, in Infinity War, the one person who can make
Tyrion.
the one person
Tyrion from Game of
who can
Thrones.
make Stormbreaker his axe out of this star, this energy, which is the only energy and the only source that can wield the power of all the Infinity Stones together. This is it, the only thing in the universe.
It
No,
literally
not the axe,
was.
not
It
the
literally
axe, the
was
gauntlet.
Thor's entire
the gauntlet.
purpose.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
you're talking about the gauntlet,
Right,
not
right.
the axe.
Okay, so correction. So Thor spent 2/3 of Infinity War traveling to this planet where giant dwarf man can use the power of the star to make objects just like he made the gauntlet, which wields the entire power, the entire force of all of the Infinity Stones put together.
This gauntlet for Thanos was specially made by this star, and that's why Thanos killed everyone else and said, I'm leaving you alive just in case I need you, because it's only you that can make this damn gauntlet.
Right. So Thor spent 2 fucking acts doing this of Infinity War because he knows this is the only place that can establish a weapon such as Stormbreaker that is powerful enough to kill fucking Thanos. What happens in Endgame after we sip this Kool-Aid in Infinity War? Again, that Kool-Aid goes away and just says, hey, just fucking sip some more Kool-Aid when Tony Stark can make another gauntlet out of Earth materials and Earth metals and
Nanotech.
Earth alloy.
Hey, like, I get it.
Maybe.
Nanotech is nanotech. It's awesome. Great. Cool.
Sure.
Most advanced tech on
I know.
the Earth.
In this
But
fictional
for you to
world.
have to go get the power of a star.
To harness the 6 Infinity
harness
Stones of the
the
universe.
To
In
use
Tony's
a
easy
star.
bake oven.
And then
Instead of
Tony's-
gauntlet
yeah.
making, ting, ready.
And then he says, careful, like that gauntlet is holding enough energy to blow up a continent. But it's just like, but
he-
how?
I know, I
How
know.
is it?
It's
How
Tony
is it
Stark.
holding enough energy? The gauntlet from Infinity War was made from a fucking star, like a star.
get it.
I don't know how else to say it, a fucking star. And
Yeah.
now this guy just says, put a little bit
It's
of
Tony
nanotech on
Stark.
there.
You're talking to the guy who broke time travel in literally 2 minutes.
6 hours before he did it, he said it couldn't be done.
Yeah.
Guess what? Hologram.
Shoot shit! Oh shit! No, that was great. I mean, that scene was
I get
great.
it, but
He
this
was
is like,
shocked.
this is what he does.
Yeah,
This
but
is
he
what
just he did a little tappity tap and a little twist
He's
of the
got
dial.
the holograms.
Time travel.
The hologram.
Shit!
And he even says it to his machine. He was like, "Hey, I got something on my head. I'm inspired a little bit." Like it was just like a thought. It was an idea.
Yeah.
He says it to his machine. He said, "Go ahead and do it in a cylindrical sphere thing that he tells her to create. Create the model." He's like, "If it doesn't work, just let me know. It's no big deal." And then it works. Oh shit! Like, but that was it. You just had a thought, and you break the time travel equation.
Yes,
Like,
and
Tony,
make the gauntlet that
can we
required a
just-
star.
And then you make then you can create
Whatever, and
a gauntlet
created
to wield the
Ultron,
Infinity Stones.
and
I can't.
forget, did all this other, the nanotech, he cracked the code. Oh, he did the whole the arc reactor was his first thing. It's Tony fucking Stark.
I can't. I really.
I can.
really
The
can't.
point is, I can only sip so much fucking Kool-Aid to where I gotta choke and spit it the fuck back out. That's my point. You know, it's just too much at some point. I get it. Tony Stark is a mastermind genius. I understand. I love Tony Stark. He's awesome. You know, he is my favorite character probably in the Marvel Universe alongside Thor because he's the Batman of the Marvel Universe, which is why I love him. But at the end of the day, you know, I can't buy the fact that he fucking solves time travel in 2.5 seconds. I can't buy the fact that he harnesses the power of the star in an easy bake oven of the Avenger compound. You know, I can't buy all these fucking facts. It just doesn't add up. You know.
I know, you gotta swallow them to enjoy the ride, though.
It's too much. They're drowning you with Kool-Aid.
It is. That's what it was drowning full of just take it. Infinity
It was literally the Adam. What's the Zoolander? Not Zoolander. The Adam Sandler where he's like, just take it.
Yeah, it was Zohan. Take it.
Zohan. Yeah.
Now lick it.
Yeah.
So
Thanos doesn't have a GPS. Thanos doesn't have a quantum machine. Thanos doesn't have the pinpoint.
I mean, I already had to accept a lot of stuff. The time travel ones what got me.
The rat started the machine. Everything.
The hero rat of the
Which is by far the biggest hero of the entire universe in the past 11 years.
That rat
fucking
doesn't touch those buttons in that sequence.
I don't know who's bigger, that rat or the rat from Ninja Turtles. Yeah. What's his name?
Splinter.
Who's bigger? Yeah. Marvel Rat or Splinter?
I'm gonna go with Marvel Rat because he saved the freaking. He brought back half of the universe. This rat is walking around the sewers like just chewing on some fucking garb, and none really. He saved everybody.
But I guess listen, the only when I saw it, I was like, you know what? It's been 5 years. If that rat had done it. If the rat had done it in like 5 days, within hours of it happening or whatever, then it's like, okay, relax. But the reality is, 5 years have gone by, and that is a thing that could happen. I mean, it is a chance. What are the chances that a rat walks across something? It's 1 in 14 million, right? 1 in 14 million, barely. Get it, right? But still, like, if it wasn't for that fucking rat, they're all still dead.
Shout out to you, rat. You're the true MVP.
Where you at? We owe you.
Oh my god. Alright, next thing that I do want to talk about is Captain Marvel and her play here.
Oh, okay. Don't even get me started. Okay,
remember when I called it? Cap Marvel.
Let us know what you guys think. We know you guys feel differently because we've been hearing it all across the country, but that's what we think here at PMR, so let us know what you guys think, and don't forget to comment down below and subscribe as well.